You can't make this stuff up. It says U.S. Attorney wants to send Indiana great grandfather back to prison after a federal judge set him free. Tony Bailey was released in 2024 after a federal judge determined he qualified for a sentence reduction based on the excessive length of the original sentence. All right, it says the great grandfather, now 61, was released in 2024 after a federal judge determined he qualified for a sentence reduction based on the excessive length of the original prison sentence. It has allowed Bailey to return home to his family, to get a full-time job, and to get a second chance he's always wanted. I choose to better myself in prison, and now that I am out, I have proved myself that I am capable of being in society. I deeply regret the mistakes I made in 1997. I ain't the same person I was then. So the brother went to prison in 1997, and a judge looks at his case and says, you know what? This brother, he's serving an excessive amount of time for what he did. You see, in 1997, this ain't right. I'm gonna release him. You see, that's what happens with our people many times. You see, we get excessive. You see, they go to the max with us. But let's continue reading. It says, but attorneys at the U.S. Department of Justice believe Bailey should go back to prison, and they recently told his lawyers they are actively working to reverse the sentence reduction that resulted in Bailey's release from federal penitentiary in Terre Haute. Bailey, his attorneys, and his family are now fighting to keep him free as the government takes steps that could send Bailey back to prison for the rest of his life. The brother is 61 years old. If he goes back to prison now, it's going to be, to serve the rest of the 67, I think it was 67 years. He did 21 years. That's not good enough. These people, they want your life, man. These animals, they want your life. You see, 21 years ain't good enough. You see? So imagine it. You out, you spending time with your grandchildren, your family, you working, you being productive in society, and now you worried, you up at night worrying, am I gonna go back to prison? Make it make sense. Bailey's series of mistakes took place back in 1997 when he and two accomplices carjacked a UPS delivery truck and then used the truck to rob a bank in Chesterfield, Indiana. According to court documents, the men later crashed their getaway car near a Pendleton, Indiana cornfield and hid in a nearby home where they held a family at gunpoint and tied them up before forcing the homeowner to drive them to Indianapolis. Check it out. That's the brother with his family. 61 years old, the brother don't look half bad. He's still young looking. You see, that's another thing that pissed these people off. We could do 21 years in prison and come out, and the brother still look like he's, in his 30s or 40s. He's a great grandfather. These people is angry and upset. This brother he's still full of life. He can still go to work and get a job. He's not in a wheelchair. The non-melanated people, they age 10 years, you know, for every 1 year on the planet. Our age is like 1 to 1, maybe less. You see, and that bothers them, that this brother can get out and continue with the rest of his life, healthy. Brother still, brother still looks like he's in his 40s. You see, that burn him up. It says, it says in 2024, inside the federal courthouse in downtown Judge Richard Young found Bailey's 61-year prison sentence was unusually long. You see? Unusually, meaning the copper colored people, when we get judged, we get more harsh. You see? Well, our sentence is harsher. You see? And they poke and make fun. And why your people is the ones that's filling the prison population? I wonder why. You know? I just seen two white boys. One of them murdered his mom, I believe it was. Didn't even, he just didn't even get bail. You see? No jail time. Make it make sense, man. So his sentence, it was unusually long. The judge determined Bailey is no longer a risk to society and granted his request for a sentence reduction. Young ordered his immediate release, slashing the 61-year sentence to 27 years already served. Brother did 27 years, and that's not good enough. It was a wonderful day. It was a beautiful day to have that feeling to be back in society and to have a second chance to get it right, Bailey said. That's the brother with his family. See, look at he's got his grandkids. He's a great grandfather. I can't tell which one is the brother. Um, I mean, that's how it happens with our people, man. The brother don't really age that much, so they upset. He ain't all wrinkled and decrepit. Walking around in a wheelchair. Oxygen tubes out of his nose like the other people. You see, it's at 61 years old. You see, his brother come out of prison, he still look like he can go to the dance floor or something. But that's why they upset. That second chance includes not just getting a full-time job at Indigo, where he works long hours driving passengers across the city. Brother's still full of life, man. But also reconnecting with his family and spending time with his 8 grandchildren. The brother's blessed, even though he in prison. The brother's the Most High is blessing the brother with 8 grandchildren and 5 great grandchildren. I'm telling you, man, that we are a great people, man. We are a great people. We our numbers are increasing even with all the oppression and all the murders, the things they do to us. We still increasing. You see, that's biblical, man. When you read Genesis, the first chapter, I believe it is, the Pharaoh tried to afflict us with hard labor. You see, and our numbers still increased. You see, to the point where the Pharaoh wanted the midwives to start aborting our children. You know, uh, 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 and they refused to do so. You see, but it says they're a bunch of joy being able to just hold them, take them to the park, and take them for ice cream, Bailey said, overcome with emotion as tears rolled down his cheeks. Man, I had to take a break, y'all. It says, with emotion as tears rolled down his cheeks, it means a lot, means the world to me. So why USDOJ now wants him returned to prison? Bailey's new world outside prison could end very soon. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Indianapolis appealed his sentence reduction, claiming the Sentencing Commission and judges exceeded their authority by drastically shortening sentences for previously convicted inmates. While the new federal sentencing guidelines apply to new cases, they do not automatically apply to inmates who were sentenced under, I can't read the rest of it, harsher penalties. So basically, they saying, the brother, he's grandfathered in. You see, you can be grandfathered in for certain things that's not beneficial to you in your life. But when it comes to you taking advantage of new laws in this world, you can't take advantage of that. You gotta stay under the old guidelines. You see, but if you pale face, if you paint, you know, you can take advantage of these new uh, penalties. You can take advantage of these new guidelines. You see, which they don't really need because they get 5 years for doing the same crime. The brother admit he was wrong. You see, he took accountability. That's the word I'm looking for. The brother took accountability, for what he did. Back in 1997, served 27 years, and the judges, they understand that, hey, this is harsh. You see, the spirit of the Most High worked on these people, you know, and said, look, release this man. You see, if it wasn't for the spirit of the Most High, they would have probably turned and looked the other way. They don't care. You see, when y'all say it's some good ones, it means that the Most High touched that person and caused him to do certain things. Just like he touched Pharaoh, hardened Pharaoh's heart, he can also, work in your favor and soften the heart of your enemies. You see, it's not because they good Christian folks. No, that ain't why. It's the Most High's doing. Everything is Most High. And look at this. Gleason, a former federal prosecutor who also served 22 years as a federal district judge in Brooklyn, New York, runs a program called the Holloway Project. Once again, the Most High puts the spirits, causes certain individuals to go whether he want them to go. You know, the program seeks sentence reductions for federal inmates who were given what he calls brutal and excessive sentences. You see, I had to highlight that because our people, we don't realize that, there's two criminal systems in work. You know, you go and you do something stupid, you're gonna do 3 times more time than your white counterparts. You see, my mom used to always tell me, you can't make mistakes in this world as a black man. You are not allowed to make any mistakes. You want to do dumb stuff. You want to run around with a weapon in your hand. You might lose your life. You see, when the non-melanated people, they're not gonna lose their life for doing the same dumb stuff that you doing. You see, so it says he got brutal and excessive sentences under discriminatory mandatory sentencing laws that have since been repealed. He and Bailey's case serves as a poster child for a broken and unjust system. The system is unjust towards us. You see, when are people gonna realize that? You calling yourself American? You getting ready to celebrate 4th of July? We were in chains and shackles when this country got its independence. You see, but it is an unjust system. We don't get the same treatment here in this country. We are still in slavery. The prison population is filled with black and brown people. And y'all celebrating 4th of July weekend. Like, what are you celebrating? The system is broken and unjust that still impacts inmates today. You see? So what are you celebrating for? So it says he served 27 years for his crimes. If he were sentenced today, he'd be sentenced to less time than that. That's not true because look what they just did with their brother Carmelo. You see, a lot of lawyers are stepping up and saying, "Hey, this is very harsh. You know, for the crime, it should have been manslaughter." You see, they didn't even the prosecutor didn't even put that on the table. 35 years the brother serving. You see, so it says he'd be sentenced to less time than that. Gleason told 13 News, pointing out that the average federal sentence for murder in 2025 was 24 years. But this brother Carmelo's getting 35. It wasn't even premeditated. They know now want him to return to prison for another quarter century and essentially go back to prison for the rest of his life. They don't have to do that. The U.S. attorney has the discretion not to seek that unconscionably harsh result, but he has refused to exercise that discretion. They never exercised that common sense, basically. That's what he's saying. You have common sense as a judge or a prosecutor, you know, not to give these harsh sentences to people. But when they see black skin, man, it's automatic. It's automatic with us because why? What I said earlier in the video. The brother, he still look young and healthy. That's not good enough for them. We can't have this brother walking around. He's not even, he don't even look like he aged that much. So we got to make sure these people, when we give them sentences, we got to judge them harsher. You see, because they don't age the way we age. You see, and it's not fair to us. When we send one of ours to prison 10 years, and later they come out looking like, they look like they in their 70s. You see, that's what's going on. But I'm gonna read something because this is biblical as well. You know, we always get harsher treatment. You see, when you go to Zechariah chapter 1 verse 15, it says, "I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for I was but a little displeased." Most High was a little displeased with his people. When we went into idolatry and sin, we didn't want to worship him. You see, we broke his commandments. Most High was just a little displeased with us. You see, and they helped forward the affliction. You see, the other nations that hate us, the white man hate us, the Chinese man hate us, the Indian, they had on Carmelo Anthony's jury was all these nations. None of us were on the jury. You see, make it make sense. They all hate us, and they forwarded the affliction on this brother, and they trying to do the same thing with Carmelo, man. 35 years for something he should do less than 20. It wasn't premeditated, you see. But that's how we are treated in this world. And we celebrating their holidays, New Year's and Independence Day and all this stuff like we belong here. This is not our rest, as it says in Micah chapter 2, verse 10. This is not our rest. You see, we gotta keep the commandments, the laws, the statutes that God gave us, so we can get up out of here. You see, but y'all refuse to listen. Y'all refuse to hearken and see what's going on in this world.